Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Today we are doing about 10 minutes, like pretty much all of our videos, and we are comparing credit versus debit cards. So why might you use one versus another? What are the pros and cons of each of them? And just a general overview about how they work. So as you can see, I did my nails so that they don't look as homeless, but they still kind of do. So anyways, go ahead and like and subscribe and comment if you like these videos. I'm coming out with them essentially daily. So I hope that you find them really good and useful. So let's start off with credit cards because those are quite popular. Now, full disclosure, I use credit cards pretty much only exclusively, so already right off the gate, you know which one my preference is. I do quite like credit cards, but you do need to be responsible with them. Okay, so let's start off with some of the major benefits of credit cards. So, number one, we have points and perks. This is a really, really big one when it comes to credit cards. This is probably a big reason as to why people use them. So you can get points and perks for all kinds of things. So you have travel, you have cash back, you have merchandise, etc. You also get perks like, let's say in the case that you are traveling, you might get lounge access, maybe something for car rentals, etc., etc. So quite a few reasons right off the bat to start off with them. Each individual credit card will come with its own benefits that come with it. Because of the benefits that you are getting, there is usually an annual fee. Now, depending as to the card that you choose, the annual fee might be super high. There's ones in the $500 or $600 level. Most are about $150 or so. And then you can get ones with no annual fee as well. So depending on the price of the annual fee, that will help to determine the points and perks that you're going to get from it. It will also help to determine any warranties and insurance as well. So when we talk about warranty, that means if you buy something like a TV, a phone, what else could it be? Any type of, really anything. If it gets broken, you tend to have an extended warranty. So you'll usually come with like a 1-year warranty on a product when you buy it, but if it breaks a year and a half in or about 2 years in, you're out of luck. In this case, a lot of times you'll have warranties that will double the regular one. So instead of getting 1 year, you actually get 2 years from the credit card itself. So that can be really advantageous. You just need to make sure that you double check what the rules and regulations are. Usually you need to charge the full amount or maybe 75% of the value of that product to that card. You also get things like insurance. So this includes travel insurance and car insurance. Travel and car insurance. So for example, if you have things like delays, lost baggage, or accidents. Okay, you can be covered for that as long as it's been charged to your card itself. What else do we have? We also have security. So in the case of fraud, you can fight it. Okay, you'll have to kind of do some work and show that it wasn't you using the card, but they will pay you back or they'll reimburse you for that value that you've been charged. So you can get any fraudulent charges reversed, which is really good. Now, other things to note is your credit score. So when you open up a card, it will affect your credit score. There will usually be a drop. So in the short term, it's negative. But in the long term, it tends to be quite positive, specifically in the case that you are looking for a mortgage or a car loan, okay? They want to ensure that you have a good track record. Car loan, not car insurance. They want to ensure that you have a good track record. And your credit score, and a credit card makes up your credit score, can help for them to determine how much money they're going to lend and the interest rate that you'll have to pay as well. So if you have a better credit score, you'll tend to have a better interest rate, which we like. That's good. In terms of points and perks, an offshoot of that is there's also travel hacking. Okay, so that's essentially ways that you can get travel for very low or no charge at all. So no or low cost of travel. But then into more of the cons and the negatives, we do also have the fact that you could very easily get into debt quickly. Okay, you might get into debt, you might have trouble paying it off, and that interest rate. So interest rates, again, they do vary depending on the card, but they're about 20%. That's huge. That's insanely large, okay? So you need to make sure that you are diligent with paying it off. So you must pay it off, or well, I shouldn't say must, but you should pay it off monthly. If you don't, if you have a recurring balance, you'll be paying that huge 20% interest on that balance, okay? So you do want to make sure that you are a person that is a little bit more type A, that you do keep track of your statements, you do keep track of how much you owe, you do keep track of your expenditures and your budgeting, okay? It could be quite a bit. Some people like to essentially take credit cards and just spend everything on it because they just think that it's unlimited money, and that is not true, okay? So you want to make sure that you budget, you want to make sure that you pay it off monthly, okay? But it can also help you out if you're in a pinch. If you're in a pinch, okay? So in the case that, maybe you lost your job, maybe you have a really big expenditure, like a car maintenance that you weren't expecting, you didn't budget for it. A credit card can help you out, can be a really good cushion or a buffer, okay? So those are some of the great benefits of credit cards and some things to keep in mind. Now let's talk about debit cards. So debit cards are linked to your accounts. So they are linked to your checking and savings accounts. So you only use money that you already have in your account. So this is a lot easier for budgeting. So you use your own money, okay? There's usually no fee for it, no annual fee, I should say. But there is sometimes fees in terms of number of transactions that you can do maybe a month before you get charged some type of maintenance fee. So you do need to double check that and see how often you are swiping that card. So maintenance fees. Usually there's no points and no perks, okay? No points or perks associated with it. In the case of fraud charges, you can get it back, but it tends to be a lot easier with credit cards, okay? So just as an FYI, as long as you prove that, it wasn't you using that card itself, you can get it back, but credit cards tend to be easier. If you use your card too much and you go over the checking amount balance that you have, you might get charged an SF, which is not sufficient funds. And that's a charge, and it hits your credit score negatively. So it's bad for your credit score. Okay, that's something else to know. I kind of alluded to it here, but because it already links to the accounts that you have, it does make it easier to budget because you're only spending the money that you already own. Whereas with the credit card, you don't have that money. It's just this number, right? So it might be 5,000, might be 10,000, might be 20,000. So that isn't free money. You do need to pay it back. So it can make it harder to budget when we are looking at credit cards. With debit cards, it can be a bit easier. Maybe if you are someone who has a spending habit, maybe you're someone who's a shopaholic, okay? A debit card might be right for you. So these are some of the benefits of both of them and some of the detriments as well. Like I mentioned, credit cards is the one that I use, but you do need to be diligent with it. Okay, you need to check how much is that annual fee. Are you getting enough rewards points to make it worth it? How much are you spending? Are you paying it off monthly, etc. So credit cards, if you use them correctly, can be a great financial tool, but do not get into credit cards if you do not trust yourself, okay? So maybe in the case that you want to venture into it, start off with one that has a low credit limit. Okay, so maybe 500, maybe 1,000, depending on what you're looking for. And then that way, once you learn how to manage that, you can go into higher limits if needed be. Okay, so that is a high level look at credit versus debit cards. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and comment. I hope to see you again in another video. They're coming out essentially daily at this point. Thanks everyone. Bye for now.